Ben, just to close out, I'm wondering how you feeling about the next 10 years. I mean, this is something you've been studying since you were a kid. I think you first watched those early episodes of Star Trek with William Shatner. Those are the ones I grew up on, by the way. And you got fascinated with.
Leonard Nimoy, man. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
Spock was the man. Although I was disappointed as I grew up to realize I probably had more in common with Kirk than with Spock, personality wise. Like,
I love
when I
Spock.
was a little kid, I wanted to be Spock,
Oh,
right? Because
really?
he's like super analytical genius who's never wrong, is just, and if he is wrong, he'll acknowledge it impassionately and keep going. So
Yeah.
I really wanted to be Spock. And then, like, you pass through puberty, you get all these hormones passing through your system. You get like a bad temper and start chasing girls around. You realize, shit, I may be more like this jerk Shatner than like Spock in the end. But
Well,
of course, that was the beauty of Star Trek, is these are like two parts of the human psyche, which
yeah.
we really combine them both in ourselves. And I think that's what you see in the next 10 years, though, right? I mean, you've got the analytical bit, you've got Spock-like machines coming to the fore, but you've also got the emotional, passionate aspect of humanity, for good and for bad, like you saw in the Captain Kirk character. And this is also playing it out on the world stage. So I mean, on the whole, I'm an optimist, perhaps in a irrational or trans-rational way. Like, I'm just optimistic by my emotional nature. So I have a spiritual or intuitive feeling that things are going to come out awesomely in the next 10 years on the whole. Like, we're going to overcome material scarcity. We're going to create machines that can feed into our brains via brain computer interfacing and help uplift human consciousness. And we're going to port into virtual worlds and achieve like states of intelligence and awareness, like going way beyond anything we can imagine now. So that's what the Captain Kirk in my head thinks, right? Like, we're on the verge of engineered utopia. It's incredible, right? Now, on the other hand, the Spock in my head that's more rational or analytical is just saying we have no reasonable idea what's going to happen. We're entering into a domain of radical uncertainty, and there's a lot of nasty things unfolding on the planet right now, and a lot of dangerous possibilities unfolding. And we've got to be really judicious, really careful, and work really hard in order to make sure that, AGI develops in a beneficial, open, democratic, decentralized way. So the first AGI is not created by some big tech company in conjunction with some government agency and used to enact, the narrow interests of one elite group in a poorly thought out way that then causes, global havoc to ensue. And the number of ways that could happen boggle the mind and are beyond our ability to even map out in detail.
I, 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 I don't think anyone in the world understands how this will be the most transformational time in human history. I mean, it really will. But the fact that it'll be compressed to a short amount of time and it'll affect so many people in such a massive way, more so than any world war, than any famine, than any of this. This will be incredibly
It's pretty wild. Yeah,
dynamic.
I have a 5-year-old son, a 1-year-old daughter, and a 4-year-old granddaughter. And as I go about like teaching them multiplication and division and reading and all this stuff, teaching them about outer space and the robots. I mean, just to think, like, by the time they hit puberty, let alone turn 18, like the whole texture of human life and the nature of the world they grow up into is going to be incredibly different from the world that we see now. Like, they're never going to have to get jobs. They're never going to have to face like getting old and feeling their body kind of slowly deteriorate, which I'm starting to notice now at age 56, although I'm in actually pretty good health and condition overall, right? And and they're going to grow up knowing that there's these machines there that just have vastly greater knowledge and understanding that they do, and that, I mean, that's just the place that humans have in the cosmos, right? And this is going to be a completely different world that they grow up in. And of course, I really, really want them to grow up into a utopic world of this nature where AI is just making their life incredibly good. Like, there's already ways that I had to suffer as a kid that they won't, right? Like, I mean, when I was in elementary school, you had to have fist fights all the time after school to prove what a manly little boy you are, and that was just the way it was. And now, that doesn't happen in elementary school and in like middle class neighborhoods in America. You don't have these kids gathering, beating the crap out of each other in the schoolyard every day. And I remember trolling through the town library where I lived. I read every science book in the town library, and I finished them all when I was in like third grade or something. There was no internet. Like, there was no way to like ingest all the knowledge that you wanted. So they'll never know that feeling either, of just reaching the end of the knowledge that you could access, because there's no more books in the library, right? You already have the internet. You'll never get through all the books in the library, let alone that they'll be able to put Wi-Fi into their brain and ingest all the knowledge they want that way. So, I mean, we have the possibility to create this amazing utopia for our children and grandchildren and ourselves, right? But yet there's also the possibility that the big tech companies and governments in the developed world try to create advanced AI and AGI in a self-centered way, and then some guys in a biotech lab in the developing world just get pissed off at seeing their relatives die of curable diseases while people in rich countries are frolicking, and they release COVID 2.0 that actually kills everybody, right? I mean there's both of these sides, and we're at a ridiculous point in human history where both of these things are like near term and very palpable. I mean, this is what led some transhumanists to think they must be living in a video game. They're like, what's the odds of all history I would be living right near the end, right at a time when all this amazing stuff is unfolding? There's almost zero odds that in real life I would wind up right at this time in history. So I must be a character in a video game who was put right at the perfect time in history, right? I don't quite think that way, but I do think it's a remarkably weird and fortuitous thing to be living at such a time, and it's pretty cool. And I didn't foresee that when I was a little kid in the 70s. Things seemed to be going more slowly, and my plan was to build a spaceship to travel at close to light speed and come back to Earth in a million years when things would be more interesting. But now, I mean, with the reality of exponential change, we can see things are going to get a lot more interesting without waiting a million years. Just wait 5 or 10 years or so.
So Jim Rickards has just recorded a video that's not available to anyone in the public, and he's going to be talking about how this upcoming recession is going to be fast, it's going to be bloody, it's going to be nasty. But at the same time, he's going to show you how you can position yourself to profit from all of this chaos. Now, we've made this video only available to our viewers. Go to londonreal.tv/Jim. Watch that immediately. I can't say enough good things about Jim Rickards. He understands the global economic system better than any guest I've ever had on London Real. His predictions are almost uncannily true, and you can learn how to profit from his vision, from his expertise, and his understanding of economics. So go to londonreal.tv/Jim or click the link below. It's an excellent, excellent look on what's going to happen in the future and how you can position yourself to profit from that. Jim is one of the best in the business, one of my favorite guests on London Real, and he's very, very good at predicting the future and showing us all to profit from it. So click the link, and I hope you enjoy.
The Greedy Bankers,
are about to do it again. In 2008, they crashed our financial system and nearly bankrupted the entire global economy. Then they received trillions of dollars in government bailouts. And after, they demanded fat bonuses paid for by you, the taxpayer.
It turns out the banks haven't just been screwing the American taxpayers, they're also screwing over their investors. Turns out the banking industry is the worst place you could put your money, despite enormous taxpayer bailouts.
Now the bankers are back to take away your financial freedom. They lie and tell you that cryptocurrency isn't safe. They try to make it illegal for you to choose how to invest your hard-earned money. They lie and say cryptocurrency is used by money launderers and criminals. But look at the record. It's the banks themselves that launder hundreds of billions of dollars every year to the biggest criminal operations in the world.
Leaked documents have revealed how some UK banks have helped criminals, money launderers and Russians under sanctions.
American authorities discovered that the Sinaloa cartel moved $881 million through HSBC accounts as bank officials turned a blind eye to the illegality.
The bankers lie and say cryptocurrency is not a real investment. Meanwhile, the smartest CEOs in the world are buying billions and billions of it. The truth is that banks lie about cryptocurrency because it makes them scared. The banks take $9 trillion per year of your hard-earned money, and they are worried that they will finally be exposed. They're scared because crypto means they can no longer control your money, which means they can no longer control you. They are scared because you might actually understand your money and intelligently decide what to do with it. Now is the time for us to come together, fight back, and take control. It's time to educate ourselves, our families, and our communities. Because financial education means financial freedom. We know that cryptocurrencies will help us build the new decentralized financial system of the future. A banking system that is of the people, by the people, and for the people. A banking system where access to finance is a fundamental human right. A banking system that is free and fair and welcomes all humans on this earth. The DeFi revolution is happening. We, the people, can no longer be fooled. We choose to take control of our finances. We choose to take control of our freedom. We choose to take control of our future. Join us, and let's take back our financial freedom forever.